there's this belief that if you just drop the weight, then you're good. And another person could be skinny, but not be healthy. We kind of view it as that if we're just losing weight, we're good. It's not a full answer. The real issue is a loss of muscle and weak metabolism. As you get older, say if a person is in their 30s, certainly as they age more, in their 40s, who are losing muscle every year. It's just the fact of life, unless you're strength training. When a person is training, they're lifting, they will fight the loss of muscle that naturally comes as a person gets older. The key to long-term health is not just weight loss, but it's muscle building and hormonal balance. They train for strength, for energy, and longevity. It's not about bodybuilding, which doesn't really stem so well with the Torah approach of glorifying the body, but it's about functional movements.
Beruchim Abayim, and welcome to Chazaq Torah Talks with special guests. We have with us our dear friend at Chazaq, Rabbi Herschel Praeger. Baruch haba, Rabbi. How are you?
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi. Shlita.
So good to see you. And we're going to be speaking about stop surviving, start thriving. An exciting topic. And before we get to that topic, Rabbi Praeger, we're going to get a little bit of background about yourself.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's really honored to be here. How did what I end up doing here? So I guess going back to my youth, I really understand the whole the whole way that the fitness came about to me was really due to the fact that I had a very low self-esteem as a child. I had it much worse as a kid, and to a certain extent, I still have a stutter. And kids can be very, very cruel. They're very, 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 very nasty. And as a child, my self-esteem suffered greatly. So it was very, very painful. I'm just reliving this going back. And as a result of this, my self-confidence suffered, and it came across how I walked, how I talked, and I was looking for a point. I was probably an adolescent, maybe 14, 15 years old, and I was looking for a way that other people would respect me. I went to public school, and also I didn't really respect myself too. And I turned to fitness as a natural progression. And whenever I began doing fitness, with every workout and with every repetition I do, slowly but surely, it doesn't happen overnight. But what I noticed is that I started to change the way that I looked. My physique would change, and I started thinking differently about myself. People noticed with time, and I slowly but surely started to gain more respect amongst my peers, which is probably something which most teenage boys want very, very badly to fit in. I think everyone, teenage boys, teenage girls, whoever you are, but especially as a teenager. And due to the fact that I really wanted that esteem amongst my peers and myself also, so I turned to fitness and also to martial arts as a way to, I feel like people wouldn't respect me due to my stutter, and it was just humiliating, that what I went through. So I used martial arts as a way that people, better be careful if they insult me, So that's how I took to it. And I really, part of my personality is that I do something, I go all in. I really go all in. It's a certain energy that I have. And I went all into the fitness. I went all into martial arts for about 3 to 4 years. This is before I found Torah, before I found Judaism. I went all in. And this was taking us I was around 18 years old approximately. At that time, I went on a birthright style. It wasn't exactly birthright, but it was the reminiscent of that type of trip for Jewish teens who were unaffiliated with religion, and who had not been to Israel before. And I took up the opportunity to. I think, why not? Fantastic opportunity. Let me go to Israel on my break, and I went. And lo and behold, I don't think that they had anything that they envisioned that I would turn out like this, the way I am today. I'm a teacher of Torah. I did not think that's what they had in mind. However, I think, being in Israel and just being around the beauty and of the natural site. It's a very holy place, very spiritual place. There's a lot of spirituality in the air. I was just also at a juncture in my life. I kind of skipped a detail that due to the fact that I was also that I wanted to. I always wanted to break my own boundaries. I always wanted to test myself further and further. So I signed up for the Marine Corps. Now, what does that mean? People always ask me, did you go to the Marine Corps? The answer is I enlisted in the Marine Corps, and I enlisted in something, I don't know if it still exists today, but it's going back to 1997, something called the Delayed Entry Program, DEP. What does that mean? It basically meant that every weekend I committed to going to training, which was, I remember, somewhere in like Ridgewood, Queens. I used to take the bus, and I used to go to train with these other fellow teenagers. And what it meant is basically that I had certain perks. I was in the late entry program, and I would train, and I got into all the language and the sprach of the Marines, whatever it was being. So I was already, at that point, I signed up in the beginning of my senior year of high school, following, and I went on the trip to Israel during the winter break, during the vacation. And at that time, I was like literally at a crossroads in my life, and I wasn't sure what to do, where I was going. And that point in my life, I was just prime and ready just for like Hashem, guide me. Where am I? Hashem, like, where do you want me to go? And I saw there were signs, there were guideposts. Hashem is, sending us messages if we're attuned, if we're listening for it. So I was, thankfully, thank God, I was attuned to it, and I saw the messages, and I said to me, you know what, the Marine Corps, not for me. I had some issues getting out of it. However, the principles of the Marine Corps still stay with me, and the discipline of the martial arts and the fitness is still very much of who I am. Just to make a long story short, I ended up going to Israel for 3 years. I spent 2 years in Or Sameach.
Wow.
Fantastic place. I recommend anyone who's starting that path to go there. And I learned for 2 years in Or Sameach by great teachers who were there. Rabbi Bowman, that's how. Then I had a background already. I grew up in Forest Hills, and at that point, Chazaq Yeshiva was located there. So I had a connection to the Chazaq Yeshiva. There were people there who were Makariv me along the road, Rabbi Portnoy. They arranged for me to go to my final year in Israel, learning as a yeshiva bachar, as a single young unmarried man. I was in Chofetz Chaim there. So I spent 3 years in Israel, came back to Queens. As I said, the rest is history. After that, I was part of the Chofetz Chaim system. I learned for how many years? It was 11 years there afterwards. And I ended up getting a smicha from the yeshiva in the year 2013, it was. I left yeshiva in the year 2011, and I took my first job teaching in a local elementary school. And I was very enjoyable. I had a tremendous run there at the Yeshiva Shara Tzion. A lot of Kras Tov to the administration and the people there who helped me. And I was there teaching there for about 12 years. Fitness along the road was kind of like, took a backseat. I was very, very committed to my studies. I was very, very into learning. I still am, but not to the same degree that I was focused on at that point. And it was like dormant. I think that's the word I'm looking for, was dormant. It's an interesting story how it was, so to speak, renewed itself. I think of probably was, I hope if there's anyone watching this right now, that I used fitness as a punishment for one of my kids during recess. Mm-hmm. Like, it was talking, whatever it was. I said, okay, that's it. You guys are going to give me 20 push-ups. Now, again, I was whatever. I had the fitness in my bones, but I had trained for it. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll do it with you. Mm-hmm. At recess, as opposed to just the typical Rebbe, if he wants to whatever give a punishment, I'll say, yeah, have a seat for 5 minutes. So I said, no, you can do push-ups. They're like, what? You didn't do push-ups? I would actually use whatever as a punishment. So yeah, I found out some of the parents are like, Rabbi, it's good. You should do more of the punishments with my son as well. But I always did it with them. I didn't just watch them do it. I did it with them as well. I'm with you. So it wasn't just like I was watching them do it. I got on the ground and was doing push-ups with them. And I don't know what happened, but it kind of like reawakened within me that feeling of like, whoa, I'm good. And I used to push people, and people said to me, why don't you make a program for the kids in the school? And we would love to do it. So I'm like, okay, maybe why not? We'll do some sort of boot camp. And I had maybe about 7 seasons. I did 7 semesters. I did Rabbi Fitness boot camp for the kids at Charitzion, and many kids have gone through the Rabbi Fitness. And I just did basic things, but we made it fun. We made exercise into a fun thing. And I saw that Hashem gifts everybody. Everyone has their own individual talents and gifts and things that they're good at. And I saw that one of the things that I was naturally gifted at was that I have a way to inspire people, and I use fitness to connect to people as well, and a way to kind of push past their limits and to ultimately feel good about them as a person, to kind of use that as a way to be outstanding and to shine. Everyone really wants to just feel good about themselves. So that's how I kind of got me to Rabbi Fitness, that I started doing more as a business. I was doing it. I launched the business officially with the logo and everything. Maybe it was in 2017, 2018.
Right, I was going to ask you. It started, I remember, then there was a pause, and now it's back. Yes. What's the difference?
So, okay, good question. So I had done, part of my nature is that I like to do something. I do it properly, and I was
other stuff. Do it right.
Yeah, but in a certain sense, it's a pro and a con if you do it as well. I mean, so I was kind of solopreneuring it. I was doing everything myself, and I wasn't really delegating, and I didn't have systems. I was basically just trading time for money. I was hustling to get clients, and I really found that it just wore me out. It just ground me down, and because I'm dealing with men as well and locally, I just wasn't able to make it financially worthwhile my time. So it was kind of like a burnout, trading time for money, and it just I needed to take a pause just for my own sanity, and I tried other things throughout the past maybe about 3 years or so, and nothing really spoke to me. I really do have a passion for fitness, and I like it. However, I need to learn from the mistakes that I made, and to try to make it more scalable, and to do things that will not necessarily trade time for money, and will be able to give over people in a greater way. So with that in mind, I'm relaunching it, but in a way that I can scale it and that I can reach more people, and that I'm not going to drain myself, as ultimately part of the things you want to keep your own sword sharp. You don't want to wear yourself down, and you have to balance, of course, that work-life
100%.
balance. So
100%.
that's what hopefully will be different this time. I'm trying to learn from the mistakes that I made, not to repeat them. But I really believe that very, very strongly. Everyone has a passion, something that they love to do, that they're good at, and something that I love to do, and I have a certain knack to connect people to being their best version of themselves through fitness.
Amazing. So many people, when they hear the word fitness, they think fitness equals weight loss, losing weight. Is that accurate?
Good question. So definitely, if a person is overweight, and which a lot of people are, because we lead sedentary lifestyles, definitely that could cause problems. If a person is overweight with time, causes there could be other issues that arise, such as diabetes, could be brought on type 2 diabetes and heart disease if things go unchecked. But kind of there's this belief that if you just drop the weight, then you're good. And the person could be skinny but not be healthy. How does that make sense? So we kind of view it as that if we're just losing weight, we're good. And it's not a full answer. While being overweight has problems to it, but the real issue is a loss of muscle and weak metabolism. And by the time it happens, as a person is older, my niche where I focus on is primarily people like myself, middle-aged men. As you get older, say if a person is in their 30s, certainly as they age more, in their 40s, we're losing muscle every year. It's just the fact of life. And unless you're strength training. So a person is training and they're lifting, and they will fight the loss of muscle that naturally comes as a person gets older. And with that lack of muscle is that you have to make sure the person is not tired, they have energy, that their joints are supple, that they're able to move, have energy, they can move around. And the key to long-term health is not just weight loss, but it's muscle building and hormonal balance. I didn't mention this before, but one of the approaches that really resonated with me a lot is the CrossFit approach. And what's so special about the CrossFit approach is that they train for strength, for energy, and longevity. It's not about bodybuilding. which doesn't really stem so well with the Torah approach of glorifying the body, but it's about functional movements, right? What is a functional movement? An example would be, let's say, functional movement would be squatting, right? Everyone is getting up and standing. We sit down. When a person sits down, we squat. So most people, I'll show you, right? They could just fall into the chair, which is what typically we do, or you could squat into a chair. You're sitting on a couch, right? You could squat into a chair. If you're, let's say, when you lift down, I'm giving a visual. When a person lifts down to pick up a package, most people will typically bend from the hips and pick it up with straight legs, and they're going to go. If the package is too heavy, they're going to hurt their back. Oh, but if you do a deadlift properly, you bend your knees and your hips, and you can. So that's what a deadlift is essentially. People press. If you're going on a flight, you need to push something overhead. You're doing a press. But these are all functional movements. They're not bicep curls or tricep push downs or these type of things, in which there is a time and a place for that. If a person is doing rehabilitation, or if a person is looking for certain aesthetics, there might be such a thing, the isolational movements. But CrossFit is very focused on functional movements. And also, its also goal is to prevent a person just natural becoming decrepit, like losing their function of their body, not being able to move their and just having energy for their kids, having energy for their family, being able to pick up a package and not get exhausted, to dance at a wedding, to move around, you're picking up your kids in one hand, whatever, and you have a couch with them and just like, oh, not hurting, being able to live. And really, that's why I like it as well. Again, if a person is doing a CrossFit, they will have a nice physique, but the idea is not necessarily have a gym body. They need real world strength. Real world strength. And this type of training keeps you active. It builds endurance. It's not just on muscle. It's endurance. It's stamina. It's flexibility, mobility. It's speed. It's all the things which we want to be more athletic as we get older, and to slow the process of aging, which is a natural thing. But we want to try to slow it as much as possible. We don't want the age to jump on us. We want to try to push that natural decline as far back as possible, and B'ezrat Hashem into our old age, have energy and stamina for our children and our grandchildren, and we're going to lead a full and active life, exactly as you're saying. Yeah. So the idea is that we're not meant to just exist or survive, but really it's supposed to thrive. And you don't need to look like a bodybuilder, but a person does have to. We do need physical strength to be able to juggle. Think about what a religious person has to do. We have to daven 3 times a day, wake up early. We have to learn. We have to make a parnasa. We have to make a living. There's so many wife, kids, and then the time for yourself. Friend, there's so many demands upon. I don't have to tell you, Leonora. Yeah, you know firsthand, right? You have Baruch Hashem. You know precisely what I'm talking about. So there are a lot of demands, and unless a person is taking time to make his vessel, his keli of his body strong and healthy, to be able to serve God properly, that's really the idea, is that a strong body leads to a strong soul. And listen, man, so we have an obligation to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. Obviously, it's a Torah command. It's a Torah command. Obviously, a person could overdo it, and they could say, I have to spend the whole day. That's where the balance is. Of course, we know that our priorities is not the body, but we can't neglect it. 100%. We can't neglect it. And that's something which unfortunately is overlooked in terms of our eating and in terms of our taking times of, we can speak more about this. Obviously, there's sleeping, there's eating, there's training. The majority of one's, so to speak, service, his avoda is done outside of the gym. It's the gym, as I say, is you're training for, let's say, an hour a day, but what are you doing for the other 23 hours a day? Sleep is very, very important. The person needs rest in order for them to rejuvenate, function properly, and to grow and to be healthy and to, have the good hormones released. And of course, nutrition. What are you doing what are you ingesting? That's something which is, you can't out-train a bad diet.
100%. Yep. So I have Baruch Hashem, a lot of people that I speak to, and I always encourage people, come to this year, come to this class, come to learning. And many times, what I hear, oh, that time doesn't work for me. I'm like, what are you up to? And they tell me I'm going to the gym. I'm like, that's amazing. I always encourage them, great. But like you said, overdoing it. We're talking about guys that do it for so long, and I give this mashal, this parable, that I tell them very simply, this comparison, I should say, that you're taking care of the body, like we just said,
Importance, yes.
100%.
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind that the body is 120 years.
Yeah.
Alavai, but you won't
Right.
forget that most
Hopefully,
people are
yeah.
70, 80.
Yeah.
But the neshama is
Yeah.
forever.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
100%, we
Yeah.
have to keep
We can't overdo, and definitely it's not the body is a vessel, and it's we treat it properly. And if we take care of it, that's basically what you want to take care of it, which is all about one of the reasons why I enjoyed it, because like the CrossFit's not an emphasis on bodybuilding; it's just about longevity and strength and functional fitness, which is why very
Stop
important.
surviving, start thriving.
Thriving.
So I hear the Rabbi talk a lot about testosterone and HGH. Why should every person care about this, and why is this important? Baruch we have the schut of having Rabbi Praeger in our kihila and learn and shtag and teach and run the Motzei Shabbat program. So I get to see the Rabbi a lot, and he speaks to a lot of people. So why is this so important?
Good question. So testosterone and human growth hormone, HGH. Why is this important? So to make a long story short, as we age, we are losing testosterone. We're losing muscle year after year, and low testosterone, in short, makes a person weaker and less energetic. I think everyone agrees. You want energy.
We need energy.
You need energy. You need it. But we don't want to be taking our Celsius or our Red Bulls or whatever other or coffee, whatever it is. There's a certain thing, a certain point, really, natural energy. So testosterone, in short, without getting too scientific, is a master hormone for men. It's a master hormone for men. And it controls muscle mass, it controls fat storage, mental sharpness, how on you are. Some days you're foggier, some days you're more dialed in, right? I'm sure that happens. And even confidence, too. You have more confidence. So who doesn't want confidence, right? In a healthy way, of course. But here's what most guys don't realize, is that, as we said, as a person is aging, you naturally are losing testosterone year after year. And by the time a person is in their 40s and 50s, most people have half the testosterone that they had when they were, in their 20s. And what's unfortunate is that most people don't realize that it's occurring. What will this? So they'll see symptoms. They'll be fatigued, constantly tired. I'll be like, oh, so tired. I don't know what to do. I can't sleep. The problem is when a person has low testosterone, he has a hard time sleeping too. You're thinking I need sleep, but it's a vicious cycle, because the low testosterone doesn't allow for the good sleep, which allows you to release more testosterone. Of course, belly fat. No one likes that. No one will all want to be lean and have muscle. Belly fat that's stubborn, that won't go even if you're eating well. But a person has low testosterone, it's very difficult to lose those extra pounds around the waist. Brain fog. Ever been just like, I feel like after Purim, but every day of the year, all right. So everyone has had it at times. You're just foggy. You feel like it's just like a foggy morning in your brain, and even lack of motivation. Everyone wants to have a charge, and we feel just a lack of motivation, and mood changes as well. Testosterone and the endorphins that are released are natural drugs, and these are good drugs for you. You want to be high on these things. This is what gives you. This is what fuels you and gives you a good personality and the ability to weather the bumps of life. Called the shocks. So testosterone is a very good thing. If a person is, like we said before, there's so much to juggle. There's so much to juggle in a from life, as we touched on before. You have learning, you have the family life, parnasa, wife responsibilities, community responsibilities, so many things going on here.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem, and these are all good things. But if we don't have the energy, the drive, and the focus, then it's hard to show up, and we're not giving it we're showing up, but we're not 100% there, or even sometimes, sadly, not even half of the way there. We might be awake, but how much of are we really getting? I think it's a fair statement to say that we all want to be there, not just there physically. We want to be dialed in. You want to be whatever you're doing, whether you're learning, whether you're davening, whether you're spending time with your family, whether you're working. You want to be when it's time, right? You want to be dialed in. And but the problem is, if a person doesn't have that engine, how is he driving himself? So that's where testosterone and human growth hormone is so important. The good news is that you don't have to. There is testosterone therapy. But I wouldn't necessarily say that everyone needs that at first. There are natural things that can be done, such as how one trains. Okay, there are different ways which we speak about, and I have a group where we talk about these things, ways that you could, natural remedies, so to speak, things that you can do practically that you and I can do.
Can you throw us some tips off?
Absolutely. Okay, one of the things about, let's say, a CrossFit perspective will be that instead of just doing isolational movements such as this or whatever, we'll move multiple compound joints. So we'll do let's say a squat. I'm wearing a suit right now. It's too bad. Sorry. Or we'll do a press, or we'll do a push up, or a pull up, or even that's the beauty of CrossFit. Even if you can't do nothing, but we can always scale it. So you can do things that means we can kind of like dial it down for people who are not holding by that level yet. But when you're going to be doing multiple joints, you're moving as one. So that will full body movements, like I just showed you, doing a squat or a deadlift or a press or your pulling motion or your pushing movement. So not only is it functional, but you're moving multiple joints at once. I'm squatting, I'm lifting, I'm pressing. So you're getting more than one muscle group involved. Why is that important? Because you're stimulating more muscles, and when that happens, the way that the pituitary gland or the glands that are releasing all these things, I'm not a doctor, but it comes through. The more parts are moving, the more stimulated, the more is being released, as opposed to just doing, this or whatever it might
Basic
be.
stuff.
Or the more the machines, which is you won't find the machines, and I'm not into that, and I don't recommend that. People need it for, like I said, if they need it for rehab or therapy, that's a different story. But even then, I would try to do more of a functional type of approach.
Daily, weekly, every other day. How often should they be?
The amount of exercising, that's a good question. I would say generally recovery is very important. Very important. You don't want to overtrain. Overtraining could kill testosterone as well. But for most people, an average or typical person to start with 3 times a week, once every other day,
Got it. For a few minutes.
Again,
depends on the person.
Again, I would say the person you have to, the same way that, we take time every day, no matter how busy we are in our day. I have to daven chakras. It's I'm not going to get to a day. The person really has to look at it, and that's really the thing of making time for yourself. You don't make time for yourself. It's the same way that I say that a havdil to split between the whole thing. Whether the person makes time, let's say to, I don't want to spend money on life insurance, but it's a must. I have to do it. It's not a matter of like you don't want to have to, but it's something. So something a person also has to make time. You have to make time for eating, and your person has to make time as well. When you do that, the returns on investment you will get. So again, you could, based upon your eating, your nutrition as well, harm or, depending upon there's foods that can definitely release testosterone and the foods that can hamper it. You want to try to avoid the processed food, the sugars. You want to avoid that. You want to try to have more lean protein meats. And these are, again, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm giving you, general advice of what things. And of course, sleep is so important. And it's very difficult, especially with people on phones and staying up and responding. But and make time for sleep. Sleep is very, very important, and the body recovers and it releases hormones during when you're sleeping, especially the first 2 hours of your circadian rhythm. It's a fancy word for your sleep cycle.
First 2 hours of
the first 2 hours. Yeah, I just actually saw something about that. That's when the most testosterone is going to be on levels highest to when the person just like post workout. There's like a surge. You like press the zzz, what then you like a release of testosterone. And then, so the first 2 hours of a person's natural rhythm. That doesn't mean whenever the first 2 hours you go to sleep. That means if a person's sleep cycle. Everyone has different, but let's say approximately whatever a normal adult will say. I don't know. They're all going to say, well, this is let's say 11 to 6 or 12 to 7, whatever it might be, whatever their normal sleep cycle is. So within the first 2 hours, that's the highest the brain. After that, it's not so. So the person gets to bed late. Unfortunately, he's not getting the same release of testosterone that they need, and that will affect them. So that's very important. The lifting, proper nutrition, and I'm just touching on the Rashi Prok and the basics here. Equal higher testosterone level, and that's basically what helps person, when you're doing that. So then your attitude is better, your mood, you're able to cope. Yeah, everything is better. And I know myself. Sometimes I'm busy, and I don't, and I'm just like I just feel like I'm just ever have that when you feel like you're just dragging yourself the day like
stop surviving.
Yeah,
start thriving.
That's it. Bad. You want to have you're a good example of that. Yeah, when I see you, you're like this. That's what we're trying to go over, that gift that we don't want to just be a survival. We want to be thriving. We want to be being our best self.
Amazing Rabbi Fitness, yeah. Rabbi Praeger. Loved everything you're saying. Obviously, there's much more to all this, right. And we encourage everyone to follow Rabbi Fitness. And we have a minhag, custom, a final message for our broad audience.
Okay, so I would just say, as we mentioned before, that most men in general, from men, are trying to survive, and I get it. I also try one of those people as well, but I would really, the whole reason why I started this is because I want people to just thrive. I don't want them to just get by. I want them to thrive. And Hashem gave us one body. It's our body, as you mentioned before. It's a kli. It's a vehicle, but it is a vehicle, important vehicle, that if a person is, just like a person is fasting, they're not in themselves. So we need to take care of ourselves. It's a vehicle for Torah, for our family, for our careers, and we have to take care of it and stop waiting until there's no choice. Some people wait. They unfortunately
Sometimes
they will
it's too
view,
late also.
They'll view, this is the thing, they'll view exercising as kind of a luxury. Unfortunately, when they have to visit a doctor, when they have meds, I have no choice. The doctor said it. Don't wait till it's that point when a person has to go on meds to lower their sugar or their diabetes. God forbid. There's so much that, yes, ultimately God does run the world, and it's true. But we have to do our part. We have to do our part and stop waiting for it until you have to take it. Do it now. Make the time. It's the best return on investment. And I have a free WhatsApp group where we talk about real solutions for men who are struggling with these things, fitness, nutrition. I'm also struggling too. I'm a real person. I'm not perfect. I have my ups and downs, but we're trying, and we're mechazek each other. It's community. It's not just about me. I'm a human being, and I try, and everyone has their own chaps, and together we have a nice community. So please take advantage of that, where we discuss fitness, nutrition, and energy, hormones, and just show up and be your best self. That's basically what it comes down to.
100% Yeshikach Chazaq Rabbi Herschel Praeger, Rabbi Fitness,
Thank you, Rabbi.
for the amazing Torah talk. Stop surviving, start thriving. You heard it from the Rabbi himself. On a personal level, Rabbi is the testimony, witness to this. I took it upon myself as well. The Rabbi has helped me. Baruch Hashem, thank you Hashem, and it feels great. Thank you Hashem. And we want to thank everyone for joining us once again. The Chazaq Torah Talks every single Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chazaq.org/live. CHAZAQ.org/live. Special thing to the various different platforms that host the Chazaq Torah Talks. The feedback is really amazing. Baruch Hashem. I always mention this, and it's everywhere I go. People are stopping me. Oh, I just heard that one. I like that insight. Oh, I forwarded this one, and I share Baruch Hashem. And send us the feedback as well. Feel free to email us at info@chazaq.org, info@CHAZAQ.org. You think the various different platforms, Torah Anytime, and many others. Daily giving. $1 a day goes a very far way. We want to thank them and encourage everyone to be a daily giver. Look into it, daily giving. And once again, you're a daily giver. Wow, me too.
Yeah.
Amazing. Baruch Hashem, Chaz Hashem. Great organization, amazing concept. And I want to thank everyone involved with Chazaq, all the board members and staff members and volunteers, and every single one of you for joining us. Suggestions are always welcome, like I mentioned before. And we shall all be Zechur, we shall merit. B'ezras Hashem, here, B'tzorah, only good news.
Be healthy.
Be healthy
and happy.
Healthy and happy.
Amen.
H&H.
Amen.
Healthy
Amen.
and happy. B'ezras Hashem. Shkoyach.